Welcome, prospective students. We are back for week 2 of Inside the Herd, where I'm hosting on some members of the administration and eventually professors to give prospective students a better look on inside Amherst College and give you a better idea of what goes on here and some of the key figures who make campus run. And I promise you, Dean Angie is undoubtedly, the number 2 right behind Michael Elliott. So it's great to have you on.
Well,
absolutely. So to start off today, we were talking before the camera started rolling about your sock choice. So we want to hear about the socks.
My sock choice. So today I am wearing a pair of socks that has some French Bulldogs on it. And I have 2 French Bulldogs, Baxter and Bella, who, are basically my children.
Okay.
So, I love, if I can find Frenchy things, I have a ton of Frenchy stuff in my office that students have been giving me, certainly over the years here. And, Baxter is 9, and it's going to be 10. My sweet little heart, her little face is gray. And Bella is 7 and is a forever puppy. Baxter is a curmudgeon. So, and also, kind of tracks in terms of my own personalities. Like, forever puppy and also sometimes a curmudgeon.
Okay, I can feel that. So I have a cat. His name is Sam. My sister wanted to name my cat Samantha.
Okay.
But it was a boy. So my parents made her settle on Sam, and he's also named Sam because he was born on tax day.
Oh.
So we thought, like, Uncle Sam, we thought it was, a little fun.
Perfect.
Whatever. But anyway, so we were talking about, before the camera started rolling, sock choice.
Yes.
And I was saying, because I went to a school where we had a uniform, socks were really like one of the only ways we kind of had to express ourselves. And you were saying you also went to a school that required a uniform. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and I went to a Catholic school. So went to a basically Catholic school all the way through high school until I left. And so, we had to wear a uniform. I had to, the kind of jumpers is what the girls had to wear. And then the boys got to wear pants. So, of course, I was always envious because I wanted to be able to wear pants, too. But, exactly like the perfect polo and the jumper. And you had to be kind of like not a lot of opportunity to really express yourself, for sure. So we had to find ways as well. I think often we found ways through our hair.
Okay.
That was a place where we had could be a little bit more, express ourselves.
Okay, I agree. I've always had, right now my hair is not that long, but I've always had super long hair.
Really?
I
didn't know that.
In high school. So they're really embarrassing pictures of me.
I really would love to see that picture.
I have some pictures. It looks like, so I used to run track.
Okay.
And in high school, my hair was super long. And there's a picture of me jumping over a hurdle, and my hair is like crazy. My grandpa used to always joke that I was like running from a beast. So, anyways, let's get into the questions.
With the flocks like flowing in the background.
Pretty much.
I love that. So definitely, please know that I will be requesting a picture.
Okay.
You've got a couple years.
Okay. All right. I'll definitely get that to you.
Okay.
So first question, what did you do before coming to Amherst?
Sure. So let's see. Before coming to Amherst, kind of really distinctly right before, I was in Oregon. I lived in Oregon. So that's where I went to college. And I grew up, like I said, in St. Louis, Missouri, and I really wanted to kind of get away from being in a landlocked state. And so I actually applied to college in Oregon, and then I applied to college in Georgia. And I thought, visited both campuses and fell in love with Oregon and the beauty of it. And so went to Oregon State University, and while I was there, I actually met my now spouse. And we were both kind of going to school while we were in college, and then I actually then continued on to a graduate program there, and then decided to start working there. So I was working there, and so then my partner decided that they wanted to get a PhD, and they wanted to move out here. So we picked up and moved out here.
Where are they out here? Are they at Amherst?
They're at University of Massachusetts. So they came out here. She wanted to do her PhD at UMass. And I, honestly, we kind of always laugh because I was like, I'm sorry, Massachusetts where? Like, it's like I know where I knew where it was, but it was also kind of like, wait, is that above New York or how high am I going?
Trust me.
I didn't like it wasn't in my psyche around there, and but I had never been here and I didn't know anyone, and I thought, what the heck, let's go. Let's see what's there, and let's kind of take on this new adventure. So we moved here in 2011, and We left our jobs, and she started graduate school, and I was trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do.
Yeah.
And so I actually started working when I first got here. I started working at a local cafe that no longer exists here in Amherst, and met somebody there who I was literally making a sandwich for that worked at Amherst College.
Funny.
And they were kind of like, their name was Pamela.
Okay.
And they worked in the residential life program.
Okay.
They don't work here any longer, but
Okay.
they whenever they did, they kind of were like, oh, have you ever heard of the college? And I was like, oh, I work in colleges.
Yeah.
Like, I've been looking for a job, and I applied, and the rest is kind of history.
The rest is history. And what is your official title at Amherst?
So I currently serve as our Chief Student Affairs Officer and Dean of Students.
Gotcha.
And I've been in this particular role now for the last 2 years, and I've been at Amherst for 13. So this is my 13th academic year.
Super cool.
Yeah, I
That's a
love
long
this
time.
place.
Yeah. I wanted to throw in a quick little side note. How hard was it to leave Oregon? Because
It was very
I love Oregon. I'm a big West Coast fan. I don't
Yes.
think I'll ever live out there.
A lot of people are West Coast.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
know.
so beautiful.
It is amazing.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it was hard to leave for sure.
Yeah.
Especially family, friends, chosen family, like
Yeah.
tough. It's really kind of where I grew up. I think that's
Yeah.
often, your college experience is that, right? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of where you come into your own, who you become, who you are,
Yeah.
the lifelong relationships and friendships that you make. Those people are still there.
Yeah.
And I'm still very connected to those people, and
Yeah.
they are, my heart and soul for sure. But it was very hard to leave, but I knew that it was the right decision as well
Yeah.
to, kind of lean into the next phase of my life
Yeah.
and what I wanted to do.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
But we still go back and visit. That's the one thing. You gotta,
Okay.
keep your roots.
Fair enough. Do you like hike at all?
I
out in
do.
Oregon?
Well, not a ton of hiking. Like
Okay,
now,
that's
Nina,
fine.
my spouse, likes to hike way more than I do. But
Okay.
I can hike.
Okay.
But
Oregon's
I
so
would like to
beautiful.
be-
I don't
to
know
be
how
a-
you could.
I would like to be a bit more of a path. I don't want to really go rugged hiking. I'm a glamper.
I can
know what I
I
mean?
can see that.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I always like to think I love hiking.
I'm not going to
love
put on like a
outdoors,
mountaineering gear.
love
you know what I
nature.
mean?
Okay. I think maybe I can get on that train, but I always say the idea of hiking is amazing.
Yes.
And after telling the stories from hiking is even better.
Right.
But in the process, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why did I do this? I don't, oh my God. Yeah. I'm always like, oh, why am I doing this? And then after, I just lie about how amazing it was. But, I think like any hiker who's honest with you would say that, but
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So it's kind of like a joke, and Shane Dillon's going to laugh at this because my question is, what exactly does Student Affairs handle? And the joke is every single thing on campus. Student Affairs runs everything, but I want you to kind of explain.
So not quite
what Student
literally,
Affairs
but
does.
yes. I think, we do have our, we've got a seat at the table in a lot of what's going on campus,
Yep.
for sure. Student Affairs is certainly kind of integrated into the full student experience.
Yep.
So we are, your kind of traditional student affairs areas. You've got residential engagement. You've got the kind of student care work that we do to support students who maybe have kind of like acute or more chronic support that they need throughout their time when they're here.
Yeah.
You've got the counseling offices that are here, our health centers and student affairs. We've got our kind of cultural and identity resource centers. We have the student engagement and leadership office. We've got class deans that are working really closely with our faculty to support our students in the academic world, accessibility services, kind of the list goes on and on, right? Like we really are kind of a extraordinary team of staff and faculty that are really working collectively together to support our students so that they can really kind of, personally and academically thrive. And so, we might not necessarily be in the classroom, but we are helping to support our students so that they can move through the classroom and that they can really engage fully and, and feel like when they cross that stage, they've had like a really kind of holistic experience while they're here. And that's really the work of student affairs. Like our job is to support students so that they can really thrive academically and engage in the intellectual mission of the college.
Super
so
cool.
we do a lot of everything for sure. I know everybody thinks that dining services reports to me, and that is not true.
Oh,
we
I'm
always
sure.
laugh
Well,
all the
everything
time.
reports to you, of course. Yeah, if I have any issue on campus, students, if you have any issue on campus, just email Dean Angie. Of
That
course,
is correct.
every single thing is your fault.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
either my fault but the reality is that I know how to help you get the answer that you're looking for. And I
Yes.
think that is at its core what Student Affairs is that we
Yeah.
want to be a resource and a support service
Yes.
to our students so that they kind of know where to go, because we don't expect you all to know how to navigate the bureaucracy of the institution.
Oh my God.
Because it's big, right? And
Oh
we're
my
not even
God.
that big.
Don't even get
So
me
it's
started on the
like,
bureaucracy of Amherst College.
it can be tough.
Yeah.
So,
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go next question. Okay. You're going to like this one. What about the students here specifically make your job worth it?
Oh.
Or make it a pleasure? If you would go so far to say so.
Absolutely. I mean, I love my job. I love my job through and through. You and all of our students are extraordinary. So, I think it's the, kind of the easy answer, right, is that you're smart and you're brilliant and you bring all of the curiosity and creativity to the table, and those things are all true. But I think what I feel really makes it worth it every day is that, one, you keep me on my toes. There's no doubt. You keep me young. You remind me every day that there are better versions of ourselves and that we can work towards that. That building community is fundamental to who we are as people, and that we must have a stake in that. That connection and your desire for us and for the world to be a better place. I mean, that's why I do this job, and I show up every day, and even the hard days make it worth it. So, I think that for all those students who are kind of like, what is even college like? It's like, it is the place for you to explore. It's the place for you to make mistakes.
Yep.
It's the place for you to ask really hard and curious questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a place for you to be yourself. And
Yeah.
hopefully we and I get to have the privilege to do that with you, which is like awesome. Like, I love
That was like
everything
the
about it.
most idealistic,
I mean, it's true.
explanation of what college is. But no, yeah.
I mean, it's also hard, right? And it's
Yeah.
a beast. There's no doubt.
For sure.
But I think that working with college students feeds my soul.
Fair enough. Keeps you young.
It
Keeps you on your
certainly
toes,
does. It certainly
in your
does.
own words. Yeah.
Yes.
I think, I can see how we keep you on your toes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am learning new things every single day.
I bet you
Which
In your
is also
inbox.
amazing. In my inbox as well
Fair enough.
is flourishing. There is no
Okay.
doubt.
How many emails, just out of pure curiosity, how many emails do you get a day?
A day. Well, yesterday morning, I actually talked about this. I checked my email at around 8 in the morning, and by noon I had gone back in and I had over 100 emails. And that was ranged from all kinds of different things, both from colleagues as well as from students. So in about 4 hours, I had received about 100 emails. So, yeah.
That's crazy, because I complain about my inbox. Because I get like Wall Street Journal, New York Times, blah, blah, blah,
Right,
blah, blah.
sure.
And sometimes I'm like, why the hell am I getting all these like...
But you kind of got to keep those in there so you can at least delete them if you don't want to read it. And you're
Exactly.
like, I feel...
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
I've
At least I'm
completed a task.
subscribed.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
I've completed a task today. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and then sometimes, like sometimes I'm like, wait, what the hell? Like the other day, obviously, the Ukraine deal was posed yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember seeing that. I like clicked it and read. But a lot of the times, I'm just fighting to get like 7 hours of sleep tonight. I can't read for 2 hours.
Yes.
But
yes. So, emails, some could say, I could probably live without emails, because I truly do love the face-to-face.
yeah,
The
I totally
opportunity
agree.
to connect with people feels different. The phone
Yeah.
call to ask the question and, but emails can be hard because it just can feel kind of like just jamming away to respond,
And the other thing about emails is the tone is usually lost.
Yes.
Or people might feel more empowered to be, and that's just a thing with technology in general.
Sure. As we know.
As we know.
Exactly.
Face-to-face interactions do remind you that like you're talking to a human
person.
being
Exactly.
who deserves respect.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
yeah, I'm sure with your job, you probably get a lot of undesirable emails from students who then you might see in person, and maybe they're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I got a little bit carried away, or something like that. But
Sure,
email
maybe.
is not the best method of communication, or text message, or even calling for that matter. I do agree. But I think face-to-face interactions are the best, which is why I wanted to have the video with the podcast. I don't like the idea of a podcast just being audio. I think it should be like
I love that.
face-to-face, even though unfortunately if you watched the episode last week with Michael Elliott, the camera did die in the last third. We're working through. I am not tech savvy personally. I want to blow up all the technology in the world. I hate it all. But we're working through it. But I do apologize for that. But anyways, yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask is, you frequently plan events where you get to interact with the students.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us why you do that, and then a few of the events you've had, like the Valentine's Day event and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that, in my time here, I think I've really realized that what our students want and need and deserve is to have kind of a direct relationship with their dean.
Yep.
And the dean of students is such a important role for the college experience, and for our students to understand that they have someone who is their person, who can advocate, who can liaise, who can work with the administration, who can kind of proctor the kinds of conversations that need to happen in different spaces, help them understand how the organization and the systems run, know that they can go to if they need support or they need help. And that doesn't happen without trust. That doesn't happen without the relationships that you have to build. And in our work, with the idea of what you just said around like emails and all the other kind of pressures, right, that you face when you're in a workplace anyway, anybody who's working is got a lot of stuff on their plate that they're managing. And it can be really easy to not get in front of students. Yeah. And so, I really made the commitment that from the moment that I took on this role, that would be a number one priority for me, and that it would remain a priority, is that I want to be in relationship with our students. I want them to know who I am.
They know who you are.
I want them to know, right? Yeah. Like Dean Angie is like a person you can go to, or if Angie, doesn't know, then they will help you figure out where to go, right? Yeah. Like whatever it is. And so part of how I thought, well, how do I do this without also being like, hi, I'm your dean, and get in the way, because also students are like, I'm sorry, why are you talking to me, right?
Yeah,
I'm like
things,
definitely not that cool. So it's like, okay, what, what's going on?
I think you're cool.
Okay, well, thank you.
Cool.
For now, at least, So I think though that I thought, okay, well, I know if I can kind of get students in the room, talk with me, humanize me a little bit, then that relationship, that trust can be built, and then they will see me as dependable and as a person that they can come to. And so that's really where the kind of start of like, let me do it through a programmatic kind of framework came. So our big ones have been a lot of like pop-up programs, like stop by, meet Dean Angie, ask questions about what's happening on campus, big of things that we're getting ready to launch, give us ideas, support around. The dean, I do the bingo with Dean Angie. Yep. I fill the powerhouse with over 200 students, right? Yeah. And it is a blast. I remember the first one we did in the Friedman room here. We had students standing up against the wall playing bingo because it was so packed. Also, one of the first times I think that we have seen programs that are done really by the college and administration that bring together students from all kinds of experiences on campus. And that is amazing to see as well, right? Because it really is just simply about connection. So that's why I do it, and I'm going to keep doing it,
I hope so.
And really try to like that way, and also insert myself. I've been trying to insert myself into some other spaces where, kind of students have, I think if you think about kind of since COVID, prior to COVID, there were a lot of spaces that student events that they held where, the administration, the president, the dean of students, et cetera, were invited to be a part of or attend, kind of have a seat, reserved, right? And some of that's been lost just because of institutional memory and just not being translated. And I'm trying to help kind of re-engage that, because I think that those events are so important to have your leadership at, because they get to see you and who you are as a student while you're being your full self here. And that's amazing. Those are the things that are we love.
Yeah.
So we want to be there.
And
invite us.
I think the thing that's impressive too is not just that you're an extremely kind person who genuinely cares about your students.
Thank you.
But it's that you're getting 25 emails an hour.
Yes.
And you're still making an effort.
Yes, of course.
To be so involved on campus. I think that's super cool. And one of the events the other day, or I guess something you really felt was necessary for you to take an initiative on, is students complaining about the housing. I'm sure, I have a suspicion that's probably the number one complaint from students.
It is.
So I'm on the student government, and you came to us and you asked, what are your thoughts? You are the elected representatives of the college. You are very involved, and lots of people who elected you on here, probably 100 votes each or something. A lot of students.
That's right.
What do we need to do? And I don't know. Maybe I'm just I don't know. I think a lot of students complain more than there are deserving issues. But I don't know. I you've gone further than I can go. That's what I'll say. Is you have a lot more patience than I do, because I would lose my mind. I would be like, oh my God, this is the 200th email I've gotten about can I go at a Cohen, and I'm like, let's just make the best out of it. But
yes, poor Cohen.
poor Cohen.
Yeah, I think
Cohen's
that's
so overhated, though. I swear, I might be the only
kind of
person.
is right now, isn't it?
I might be the
Although
only person.
that washing machine, we know we need
that
to
damn
fix
washing
it.
machine. That damn washing machine. I'm sick of that.
We're working on that one.
I know. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we want the residential experience to be amazing, right? And we know that, nothing is ever going to be 100% what everybody wants and needs. That's never, ever going to be the case.
And when you reach it, there will be more wants and needs.
Exactly. And so, but what we know is that we want to make it something that students really feel like they have some, agency within. They understand what expectations are. They know how to build community. They know who to go to if they need something, that they feel like this is home away from home. That is why I imagine, outside of the curriculum and the open curriculum and the amazing faculty and what Amherst offers you as a liberal arts college is so fundamental to what and why our students want to come here, right?
Yeah.
But they also want a residential experience that is amazing and they can build and community and make friends in and have a good time and feel safe and lay their head down and be this is my home. Because this is my home for the next 4 years. Because that is one of the most amazing things about Amherst, right? Is you've got guaranteed housing. You get to live here. You're in this really purposefully small residential campus where we want you to feel like you've got opportunity for growth. You've got opportunity for curiosity, for intellectual engagement, for fun, all of the things. And that is what we want to build. And we know that right now we've got some work to do. And I think we're really taking an intimate approach with our students to really say, and actually last night it was my fourth session that we've held so far with students, directly to say, what's your feedback all around housing, all around the kind of community living experience, and what is it that you want to see? What do you love about what we do here? What do you want to see change? What's possible? All of those pieces. And I think that's the next phase of where we're going, right? We want those students that come in to know that we have been thinking about this. What we have designed and created for you in a residential experience is intentional, is built with students, and not just in mind, but with students, right? And I think that is the difference of where we're trying to move now, which is, it's hard to do because there is a lot of stuff that you gotta also do to make happen, to run a college, right? And support the, almost 2,000 students that live on our campus at any given time. So
I have a question.
Yes.
Have you ever thought about hiring somebody just to read and respond to your emails? Given that you get so many.
No. I think that takes away my own personal touch. Like,
Fair.
I want to be able to communicate with the folks that are emailing me.
See, you're better than me.
I think that, I think that they're, the majority of the emails that I receive, require a response, and those emails often require a response from me for a particular reason. And so, I wouldn't want that. Not at least at this stage in my career.
Fair. And then you touched upon something that's, I think, super important for the students to know, which we actually didn't even talk about with President Elliott, is you said guaranteed housing.
That is true.
So especially large universities like Auburn, I know Auburn for a fact, like Florida State, you really only have guaranteed housing year one.
That is correct, yes.
And maybe year two, but most of the times, after your freshman year, you are apartment shopping.
Right.
And it is huge, both monetarily and just time.
That's right.
Time-wise, to not have to worry about finding apartment shopping, finding a bunch of friends on campus to go buy an apartment.
Exactly.
Oh, well, this is too expensive. This is not nice enough. Like all that. That is such a headache.
Managing all the lease and
my
understanding
God.
the contracts that you're getting into and all that. Yes, absolutely.
That is a nightmare, and that's something you never have to worry about.
You do not have to worry about that at
Amherst.
Amherst. That is correct.
Which is super cool.
That's right. And we offer, as you know, different types of housing, right? And apartments, style housing that's going to be coming online for the first time ever this next year.
That's gonna be
right?
super cool.
The kind of suite style, pod style housing, singles, doubles, all of the things.
You want to explain
right?
a little bit about what each one is?
Sure. So like pod housing really is a new thing that we just launched, and it really is.
It used to be here though.
It did.
Yes.
It did. Like pod housing was actually something that was implemented during COVID to allow for a lot of our students to live together in pods that were like literally like, this is your pod to keep safe in.
Interesting. Okay.
Prior to that, students had a little bit more flexibility in terms of like kind of their roommate pairings and what, So we're working on kind of bringing those kind of components to the housing experience and housing selection process back, because we know it's so integral to our students wanting to really be in community with their close friends, right? Post that first year experience, right? Because when you come on to Amherst, you live in the first year quad, you are kind of placed into your housing, right? We do that work for you based off of the preferences and things that are really important, right? And your accommodation, et cetera. And those things get kind of baked into that. But then your sophomore, junior, senior year, you really have to now kind of lean into what's the identity of these buildings that you want to live in, like what's the culture that operates in every residence hall, who do you want to live with? And so pods allow for kind of groups of people from 2 up to 10 to live together, but not necessarily in a giant suite, right? Suites we consider kind of what you would have as multiple, living spaces that have a common room for them specifically. And then the apartments really are like mini apartments. You've got kind of a full kitchen, you've got a little living room, you've got full, private bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. So, I think having all these different kinds of opportunities for students to kind of engage with and practice their living, because I think a lot of juniors and seniors want to live in more suite style, kind of more apartment style, because it really is gearing up for the next phase of when they graduate. And I am going to have to look for that apartment. I've got to figure out what are the things that I need in an apartment. Oh, I don't have laundry in my building. Oh my gosh, I have to take my laundry now to a laundromat, right? Yep. Sometimes that happens, right? Especially if you're fresh out of college and you're wanting to pay as least amount as possible for rent,
Yes.
And we know.
Which would be me.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's expensive, right? Housing is expensive.
I would
right
be
now.
considering, could I sleep on the streets for a little bit
No,
to reduce my price?
No,
I think I would think about it. I think the thought would cross my head.
No. You want to be housed. So
no, that is important.
Yes, that is
for
important.
college.
It is. Yes.
Yeah, and your belongings.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah.
So one of my, this was my own little touch. My question I wanted to ask you. I want to expand about an initiative that you and the student worked on. And then I wanted to kind of get your opinion a little bit,
Okay.
which is which students on campus, in your opinion, are doing a lot to improve, the life for students? And then my two answers, maybe they'll watch this. Actually, I'll tell them to watch this episode because I bring them up. One is Camille.
Yes.
Camille
of
is,
course.
I seriously don't know how the kid does it. He is involved in every single aspect of student lives. He organizes like these basketball tournaments for the student body, which is maybe one of the most fun. If you enjoy basketball,
Yep.
male or female, it is so fun to come out. There's a 3v3 tournament and a 5v5 tournament, one each semester. And there's pizza, DJ, drinks, everything. And it's just like 200 people. And it's just a massive basketball tournament.
Yep.
And that's been something super fun that he started here and I've really enjoyed. One of the other things is is Shane Dillon. And I know we love
Of
Shane.
course, of
Shane says,
course.
you are his campus mom. You and Leah Schmalzbauer, who's a great professor.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Shane, something that you guys worked on is the Royal Chicken Kebab.
That is true. Late night dinner.
Late night dinner.
Yeah.
So if you come to Amherst College, which we would love for you to,
Please.
there are two places you will learn very quick here. One is Antonio's Pizza.
Yes.
Anybody in Amherst College
That's
knows
right.
Antonio's Pizza. And then there's a restaurant called Royal Chicken Kebab. For whatever reason, I can't imagine, late nights on weekends, students find their way for a late night snack on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah,
I couldn't think
I have
why.
no idea why.
I have no idea
Right,
why.
They are just so hungry.
No, it's so hungry.
Exactly.
So hungry.
Exactly.
But something that you and Shane did
That is
is
true.
for the entire school, any student who wanted to go get Royal Chicken Kebab, I think from like 10 p.m. till closing time, whenever that is, every single student had a $10 discount.
That is correct.
And for most things, they're $10.
Right.
So it was walk with your friends over and get, a free burger, a free chicken sandwich, a free, chicken rice,
Yeah.
vegetable platter. Super cool.
Delicious.
I thought that was amazing. Obviously, I thought it was amazing. I benefited from it.
Good.
But I
Good.
mean, the number,
And I saw the last time that we had it, the line, Shane sent me a picture, and the line was all the way out into the parking lot.
Yeah.
So
you used to strategically
amazing.
time when you go.
That's
what I
right.
figured out.
That's right.
I think I went like 2 minutes before it closed last time. 'Cause
Oh,
I was like,
no.
I don't want to wait in the line. But
there you go.
yeah. And how many students ended up going? 'Cause
I think this year, this semester, I think was almost 500, 550 maybe went and attended, which is great. It was, there's always also like a lot of other competing events and things too, right? But,
yeah, but
we want
over
to
a
make
fourth
sure.
of the school is
Yes,
insane.
exactly. Like that's amazing.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, and that's a long line for sure.
Super cool.
I think obviously yes, like Camille, Shane, there's so many students, right? Like
Yeah.
it would be hard for me to name anyone really
Fair.
independently. I
Good
mean,
point. Yeah.
there are many who are transforming campus every single day,
Yeah.
and so many that are that make outreach to us about how we create a more the artistic world that's happening on campus, right?
Yeah.
Like the recitals and music, concerts and like creating programs, the casino nights coming back. I know Cap's
Yes.
doing that,
Yes,
I
I'm
know
super excited for that.
Charles is working on that in AAS, like,
Yes.
and Daniela. Like,
Shout
there's
out Charles.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Daniela and Cap. Like, there's so
Yeah.
many students who are doing amazing things. I'm working with a whole group of students right now on building a day of democracy for Constitution Day in the fall semester. And we are just going to have like a ton of programming and like, engage with students and student panels and have faculty who are, like thinking about everything that's going on
I
in
need
the
to get with you on
world.
that.
Yes, like that would be amazing, right?
cool,
I
okay.
thought we would talk about it tomorrow, actually,
Okay,
when we
alright.
meet. So, there are so many opportunities and so many students that are leading the way. Like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, y'all are change makers. Like, that's why you come to a place like Amherst.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd agree.
because I think that you really know that this is a place that you can focus on the academics that are so important to you, and also, like, not just change campus, but like change the world. And so you do that, all of you, in so many ways. And yeah, it would be hard for me to say just one student or even just a couple. Like,
Fair.
I mean, I know I threw a couple out.
You know a million. You
but
know a lot
I
more
know,
students
I know
than me.
so many of them,
Yeah.
you know, who care so deeply about our campus community and really
Yeah.
want it to be a better place. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I am thrilled to have the honor to work with all of you.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Tell us a little bit about the casino night, because I'm very excited for this. I know I'm on the football team, and a lot of my friends they're training, they're getting ready
Okay,
for
good,
casino
good,
night.
good.
They're ready to sweep the floor. We'll see.
There you
They're
go.
ready to run up the house.
That's
They're
right.
trying to make your pockets pay.
Right,
but,
right.
Tell us a little bit about the
So
casino
yeah,
night.
I mean, casino night actually has a long-standing tradition. It used to be around a long time ago,
Yep.
and it kind of phases in, phases out. But our director of student engagement, Rachel Kramer, shout out to Rachel,
Yes.
who's amazing.
Shout out Rachel.
And she,
Super
she
cool.
brings all of the fun as well. She loves casino night, and at her previous institution, like that was something that like students also really rallied around. And so she has brought it back to life here with our students. And this year they're going to be, they've got blackjack, they've got all the kinds of games you could probably, play. They're going to play bingo, but the best and most exciting thing is they're going to have President Elliott and myself. Our
Yep.
faces are going to be on the money, right? So it's like
Super
we're
excited
we're
about
very
that.
thrilled to be helping to make that
I
money
think
move.
that's going to be so funny.
So
I think
yes,
that's going to be hilarious.
so I feel like students will have a good time with that.
Yeah.
It's all fake money and it's all about having fun.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, there's other kind of programs that we are thinking about actually that are tied to money that really also feed it like kind of into the work that we want to do around financial literacy. And
Yeah.
like helping our students understand, right? Like,
Yep.
there's also like, teaching students about gambling, right? And like, what does that mean
Yeah.
to be smart if you're engaging in gambling, right? Like,
Yeah.
what does that look like? What does it look like to think about your, financial responsibility, to oneself, to others, et cetera? Like, those are things that you weave in when you do these kinds of programs. And, while you're also having fun.
Yeah.
But that way, students don't have to spend their own money.
Yeah.
It's all fake money. So we
Yeah.
want students to know that too, that you're not expected to bring your own dollars.
Yeah, I think little quick side note. Maybe this isn't something I should be saying on a podcast, but I think it's really funny. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Okay.
But I don't gamble.
Okay, yeah.
I've never placed a bet in my life. I also just can't because NCAA athletes can't.
Okay,
Um,
there you go.
But I swore to myself, I was like, I really don't ever want to get into gambling. Because one time I know a friend, and he was betting on, I got back from the library. It was like 2:30 in the morning, super late night. And I ran into him, and he was betting on like South Korean baseball at 2:30
wow.
a.m. And I was like, man, you can just bet on anything.
Really
There's
can.
everything to bet on.
You can.
Bet on like Chinese ping pong. You can bet on everything.
You can bet on all kinds of
But
things.
yeah, I don't know. I also think it's fun though to just throw like a little bet on like the Super Bowl, because it's like it gives like a little bit of like especially
Sure.
like player bets and stuff like
Like
that.
I think that's
it
happens
makes
right
it more
March Madness,
exciting.
right? For like basketball,
Yes.
right? People
And I
do
will.
that.
Okay, actually, I break
And I
my
think
rule.
that's a thing too.
I'm gonna bet this year on March Madness because there's no bigger
Can you
fan.
do that though, or are you going to get yourself in trouble? We're not trying to get yourself in trouble here.
Friend bets.
Okay.
Friend
Okay.
bets.
As
Friend
long as
bets.
that's good.
NCAA.
Bro,
Don't
no worries
don't
here.
kill me. Yeah. But no. I will.
The
be
Dean of Students
making-
is not endorsing. that
Yes.
Jeff does that.
Yes. Yes, NCAA, don't come after me. But no, but my Florida Gators are doing amazing this year.
Well, there you go.
We are number 4 in the nation.
What?
I'm really hoping we get a 1 seed.
Okay.
But I'm not positive about it. But this year, maybe I will need to dabble a little bit in the world of gambling. Because I'm very happy for my Florida Gators this year.
Well, it sounds like you'll be able to try your hand at casino nights.
And I will.
There you
And I
go.
will. Maybe I'll maybe I'll test my luck.
There you go.
Skill.
There you go.
That's what they say, right?
I think so.
Anyways, let's get into our next question. Okay. What is one of your funniest or most memorable moments while being here? Is there like a funny, so President Elliott said that he remembers being in the Val Dining Hall, the president of Amherst College, Michael Elliott, he went here as a student, and he remembers being in the dining hall when the Berlin Wall fell.
Oh, wow.
And he remembers a
Wow.
student being like, holy crap, the Berlin Wall just fell. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So maybe not like a huge historical event, but I guess you would have been here during COVID.
Oh, absolutely.
So that maybe would have been like the biggest event that would have
Certainly
happened,
like
maybe.
disruptive, like in terms of like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, I'm sorry, we're shutting down tomorrow. Oh, like, what does
Yeah.
that mean? You know? So,
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
COVID?
COVID for sure was a thing. I think, I don't know. I mean, I think when I think about actually what's like really memorable, I mean, when I first came to Amherst, I was a part of the residential life staff.
Yep.
I've worked my way up into different roles here. And part of my work was actually to work with the resource centers, and I worked in the Queer Resource Center. And, the centers that we have here didn't really have a lot of resources or staff in them at all. And like working with students to build those and kind of like create an infrastructure for support in those areas is definitely one of my like most memorable moments.
Yep.
I also was an honorary class member of the class of 2017, and I got my cane and my award, and I got to be a part of that. And I think that there have been a lot of kind of major things that have happened on campus. From kind of student activism and protest to, COVID to, the kind of, the first woman president of the college, like these are major things that I've been able to be a part of and experience and see come to life.
Yeah.
And also, figure out how we kind of navigate and what they would look like and how do we come out of them. I think COVID is a perfect example of a time where we really thought like, oh, we'll be back in a couple weeks. And
yeah, I remember
and
it.
that was a couple,
so
like
weird.
over a year.
Yeah.
And we're still recovering from that and trying to figure out how we kind of really fully engage the life of the college and the
In
ways it
return,
was.
a lot of the life of the college that was lost.
That's right.
One thing and
That's
I
so
need
true.
to, after this, we need to like write down a list, because I don't think I've expressed my sorrow over something at this college, but like the loss of traditions here really bothers me.
It's been hard for a lot of people.
And I know COVID, like once COVID hit, I think a lot of like traditions we used to have died. So I do want to talk with you after this about how we can kind of return some of those things. Like I think we used to have like a big bonfire like after something, and I think that's kind of gone away. But I do think COVID stunk in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. And there are, traditions that we know have been lost, and there are many traditions that students are bringing back, right?
Yeah.
And we know that, right? Like our big kind of rave parties that we like to throw, the old school kind of taps, which is the Amherst party. The casino night is a perfect example. The senior dorm storm that used to happen and kind of went away for a while. It came back, so it's officially back. We've been trying to revitalize the Pindar dinners that were these like really formal dinners that students kind of were selected to go. And then there was always like a keynote from like a faculty or a staff member to talk about their experience. And then they were served this like really amazing like 7-course meal. Yeah. And we want to bring that back. Different houses and themes.
There's so many.
Yeah,
I hear about
exactly.
them. I'm like, damn it, we need to bring these back.
Yes. So, it's really about, we have all of the ideas and all of the, energy to do it. The question is, do we really have the capacity, and what do people want, and what is the new thing that really is going to...
People want tradition.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's like helping us do that. I think one of the things, too, that's been really exciting is the mascot. And like, that feels like really, really memorable, and I think that you absolutely should, people have been wanting to figure out how we do a mascot, and you literally helped us bring the mascot to life, and that is amazing. And
really a lot, multiple people in the Senate.
Sure, but like it's official, we have a costume, like we've got an actual mascot costume,
exciting.
that
I love it.
that We have no idea, of course, who the students are that would wear said mascot.
Secret.
And it is a secret, However, I know like the next phase of this, right, is going to be running what's our mascot name?
Yes.
And
so,
everybody is wondering who is the name of our mascot? What
Yes.
do you call our mascot?
So for students unaware, you just touched up on so much, and that was great. God, there's so many things you just went over. Senior dorm storm, I think that's a super fun one. So pretty much, as a senior, all the seniors go. I think it's like the last weekend they're here. Last night they're here. I think it's like one of the last weekends they're here, and they go and they like bang on the door of their freshman dorm, and then hopefully if the freshman's there, like they kind of introduce themselves.
And like, I used to live here.
Yeah, say I used to live here,
Hey.
look around, shed a tears. Oh, I'm leaving.
Exactly.
But that's a really fun one. Casino night is great. The mascot, that's like a new kind of tradition. Some students on the Senate and Tom Nash, he was part of it, and there were a few other students too, where we voted and we got the funding to bring a mascot to Amherst College. So we used to be called the Lord Jeffs. We've since moved on to the Amherst College Mammoths because you want to tell the story of why we are the Mammoths? That's kind of a fun story.
Sure. I mean, I think that there's been kind of time like throughout where people have been trying to figure out exactly like, who we are and like what is the next phase of who we are. And there was a period of time in 2016 during the Amherst Uprising where there were, many students, while there was a lot going on in the community and the country around Black Lives Matter and like really kind of thinking about kind of culture and identity and like who we are as institutions that have really kind of, expanded the way that we think about our access and our resources and our support. And during that time, there was a lot of advocacy to think about our the name of our mascot, the name of like kind of the inn that's in town, right? It used to be called the Lord Jeff Inn. Now it's the Inn on Boltwood, right? Like and to kind of think about who are we becoming, right, as an institution, and how do our kind of values and who we are align with how we also like talk about ourselves, while recognizing and honoring the legacy of our alumni and our history as well, right? Like without disregarding that entirely. And so that was really part of a kind of collective institutional process. Alumni, students, staff, faculty, parents, families, like everyone really engaged and who we are to become. And there's a lot of different options that were put out there, like the fighting poets, like, there's all kinds of different animals that are kind of local and native to like this area.
Hamster. Because if you rearrange the letters in Amherst, you can spell hamster. I think. I heard that, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that it was like the hamsters, because like
something. I don't remember all of them. There was a lot of animals.
I remember that one. I was like, okay, I can at least see. I could see the vision there.
Yeah.
But I like the mammoths.
And I remember a lot. Yeah, there were a lot of animals, and I think, I think the mammoths pretty much, took it by storm.
But the mammoths, I think it was proposed because there was an alumni who like came to a dinner, or he uncovered a mammoth. Have you heard this story or no?
I don't know this part of the story.
Maybe
now
I'm
I
crazy.
do know that for one period of time there was some time where they were trying to do something around the moose. Have you heard about the moose ever? Because you know how we have a moose that's a bronze statue in the library?
Yes.
There was like a moose.
Why is there a bronze moose?
There's like
in
a
the
moose
library?
that like walked through campus and was like walking through the president's house and like just like the whole thing. And there was like maybe some hope or interest in being called the moose, but I don't think you can be the moose because moose is like plural or there's something there. You can't be the mooses.
Maybe I need to have like an English professor
I know.
on next week.
This is why President Elliott would be great to help us with the moose and the singular plural.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is. So
Damn
President Elliott, that's your call. We need you to help us understand exactly. But we do know we are now the mammoths.
Yes.
I have no idea about this alumni story uncovering a mammoth. I've never heard of this.
I think an alumni was part of like an excavation team that uncovered the mammoth bones, and then the mammoth.
Are you sure this is real?
Is now in the museum.
In the Benesky Museum.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's
I'm pretty sure it was an alumni that was involved in the excavation team, and that is part of why. Like now we have the Benesky Museum.
Yes.
Which is a museum where fossils from every
Yeah, our
single
natural
dinosaur.
history museum.
Yeah, we have a natural history museum on campus where you can go
Amazing.
at any time for the
Yes.
most part
Yes.
and stroll through and look at. I mean, they have dinosaur skeletons from
Oh yeah, fossils,
all over the
geodes,
place.
rocks, everything
So
from
cool.
millennia. Like
But I
goes all the way
think
back.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm living a lie. Dean Angie.
I have no idea. I
But I
cannot
think
either
there was
confirm
an
nor
Amherst
deny.
alum that was part of the team that excavated the mammoth. They brought it here.
I mean, I
and
have
that was
no
part of the
doubt.
museum.
Obviously, our students are extraordinary, so are our alumni. So who knows?
Maybe. Jeez.
I know, right?
I got to figure that out now.
Yeah, we do. We've got to do some fact checking.
We do. We need to do some fact checking.
Yes.
The live fact checkers aren't here.
That is correct.
For the Jeb Allen podcast.
Exactly.
But
we will make sure that on your next podcast we confirm.
yes.
Okay, good. I love that.
Yes.
I'll need those details too. I want to hear about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what are some new / exciting developments on campus prospective students should be looking out for?
Oh,
we touched a little bit.
absolutely.
We touched a little bit with President Elliott about the new student center.
Okay, that's good.
Which you would
Yes,
definitely know a lot
the
about
first thing
that.
that was going to come to my mind.
So tell us a little bit about that, and then some things in the future. We already kind of talked about the housing a little bit, but
Yeah.
let's go.
So, yes, absolutely. The new Student Center and Dining Commons is going to be, I mean, it's an extraordinary building. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a
So
live
excited
cam
for
feed, so I don't know if you talked about that, but if you're interested, you can go online and
I've
you
heard
can
about
see
that.
the live cam of it being built. And it's
Yeah, I've
like,
heard about that.
it is huge. So,
Massive.
I mean, right now our campus center is like, it's like 3 of our campus centers right now. So it's much bigger than what we've got at this
Yeah.
moment. But that space is going to be an opportunity for the first time ever. I mean, I think it's going to be really transformational for our community because it is what we now know of is, we've got Val Dining, right, that is separate as a physical building from our current campus center. And those two places don't necessarily intersect in the same ways, right? Of course, you've got Grab and Go right now within our campus center, but it's just not the same. This is going to be a place where our now one dining facility is going to also be in the student hub, which is also about centering our staff and the faculty and students that all are here on campus every single day.
Yep.
So this is going to be the new hub of campus. It's going to be the new center. It's shifting it's shifting the footprint. It's helping us think about like how we engage differently, how we use organic spaces to come together, how we use more formal space, all of the things. So the opportunities for engagement in the student center are going to be amazing, and certainly prospective students. I mean,
Yes,
they'll
get the
they're
most
gonna
out of
they're
it.
gonna get the
I
most
am
of
just gonna
it.
be an old,
You're gonna
washed
get
up
1
senior
year
hobbling through. I know.
sure.
I barely get to use it.
You'll be
but,
like, I'm sorry, but this is my legacy that I am leaving behind. So
yeah, well, I would have rather had it all 4 years.
so I would
Parents
imagine
can
that
relate.
that is true. But I think that so there's that. I also we just launched a new program, the Mammoth Leadership Academy,
Yeah,
which
something
is a
about
brand new initiative that is kind of supported by some of our amazing donors at the college who helping us really build a kind of leadership skills and opportunity for students to have peer mentorship relationships, to work with our alumni, to work with experts in different fields, to think about the kinds of skills they need to move into the workforce, to be the change makers they want to be, both on campus and off. Like, it's the kind of like, what is your emotional intelligence? How do you understand your own self-awareness? To how do you create an agenda? How do you hold a meeting? How do you make sure that people feel like their voices are being heard in a space, right? Like, these are skills that we need to know how to do in the
need to get in
workplace.
this.
Seriously, you
I hope my
absolutely
mom
do.
doesn't watch this because
Well,
she's
Mom-
gonna yell at me
Mom,
for not
yes.
being in this.
Let's make sure that Jeb gets in this because, and it's every semester is a cohort.
Yep.
So you can apply for every, whatever semester. There's scaffolding in terms of like, you get to kind of keep going up and going deeper into like what it is that you're learning. One of the amazing programs that they're going to be launching with this is around imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
A lot of students, right? You all are, like I've said already a million times, extraordinary. You're brilliant. You're smart. Everyone has told you this probably your whole life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had to do all of these amazing things just to get into the door here.
Yeah.
And then you got here and then you're like, oh, everybody else did the same thing I did. And
Yeah.
everybody around me is smart and brilliant. And it can really easily kind of quickly become oh my God,
Yeah.
how did I get in here? I'm not as
special.
smart. I'm
Yeah,
not that
who am
special.
I?
Who am I?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're exactly who you're supposed to be. And you're here because you deserve to be here,
Yeah.
right? And imposter syndrome is something that all of us experience, no matter who you are, no matter what position you hold. And throughout this entire college, and I know that I could easily say from the amazing relationship I have with our president that he would say the same thing, right?
Yeah.
That like there are times where he's like, ugh, and that's the same thing for me, and it's the same for like a first year who just got here, you know? And so it's like, how do we actually help each other understand what that means? How do we navigate that? How do we actually lean into our greatness?
Yeah.
Like really feel like I'm bringing my full self and I'm bringing what I can bring, and that's good enough.
Yeah.
And that's what we want our students to learn and understand through the Mammoth Leadership Academy. So
Yeah.
definitely
I need to
think,
get in this.
I definitely think,
I
yeah,
need
you
to,
got to
yeah.
apply.
I'm not.
And
yeah.
like I said, it's a cohort, so you get to work with a group of people that you really build, going back to that like strong relationships, building trust with students,
Yeah.
and making those connections, and like
Super cool.
it's
Yeah.
amazing, right?
I'm glad you touched up on that because I wouldn't have thought about that.
So
to
that's
bring it
a
up, but
that's
you're
a
right.
fun initiative, right?
Yeah, that is.
That we
just
really
launched that.
that we know is going to be, I think, really critical for students. And when you're done, you also get a certificate. It's
Yeah.
something you get to add to your resume. Like
Yep.
it gives you some good talking points as you think about your career trajectory and what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Internships, all these things, and in collaboration and work with the Loeb, right? And the Loeb Center is our career center on campus. So like all of that is like so important for our students, and we
Yeah.
want them to feel like they've got some good skill sets before they leave here.
God,
So those are some things. I mean,
really good.
they're just
yeah.
like, I mean, we could pull out all the fun, like, programs and events that we're doing.
Yeah.
But, the sky's kind of the limit. I mean, I think one of the things that's really important that I'd love to mention for prospective students to know is that we don't have every single thing that maybe you might want, right? Or that you're kind of like, well, do they do this? Do they offer that? And I think the best thing is that
you
coming
can
to
change it.
that's right.
A
And when you
student
come to
can
a place
take
like
initiative.
Amherst, you can take
Yes.
initiative. You can
Oh
talk
my
to us.
God.
You can email Dean Angie. You can,
Yes.
email so many folks across student affairs and the college to say, I want to build something. I want to do something
Yes.
different. And
yes,
that is, I think, one of
100%
the
agree.
most amazing things about this college is,
100%.
we can help you
Yes.
really think about what is possible and help you kind of come up with ideas that you think would better serve our students
100%.
and our community.
100%. And I kind of went on like a little monologue to end the podcast with President Elliott. That's what I said. Is I was like, my opinion for the students here, what makes them really impressive is a lot of them do have a lot of initiative. And
Yes, they
I
do.
think that's great. I like to think that, I try to do that. But like that's the thing is like when you come to a college, small like Amherst, like does a small college have its disadvantages? Obviously, but it has a ton of advantages.
That's
and
right.
I don't think I would change my decision for the world. And when you have the ability to be on a first name basis with the president of the college,
That's right.
or with the dean of students like
Right.
you. I
Yes.
mean, how many students do you know by name?
Right, a lot.
Probably
A
half
lot.
the school.
I mean, I probably close.
Probably half the school, which is crazy.
It is.
And the other half would probably like never reach out to you. Any student who you come in contact with, you probably know their name, which is crazy. But when you go to a school like Amherst, like that's true. Like, can
That's
you
right.
change the University of Alabama's, policy? Like, they just don't have the
Might be a little
resources, the
bit different.
facilities. It's just a completely different atmosphere.
Mhm.
But when you come to a small college with 1,800 students, roughly, you have the capability
That's
to
right.
create change how you want it.
That's right.
And at the same time, it's like that's what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
Like as a student,
That's right.
like students mold institutions.
That is correct.
And institutions sometimes need student input. They need reform.
Mhm.
And that's a student's job to do that.
That's right.
It's a student's job to speak up, talk to the administration, say, hey, this is bad, like whatever. Like I know one thing recently is we were talking about the political climate on campus.
That's right.
And, the administrations, across America, I think, should have done a better job until then. But at the same time, it's students' jobs to inform administrations like, hey, this is a problem, something we
Mhm.
need to talk about on campus.
Right.
And the Amherst administration has been very receptive, and we're working to do that. But like that's the thing is like whether in forget politics, like the casino night. If a student's very passionate about like traditions, like
Yes.
I think this is really important.
That's right.
I want this. Take initiative.
That's right.
Go do it.
That's right.
And I think Amherst does a good job with that.
Yeah, because I mean, we're not also
Yeah.
right, like, and we're not in your side conversations, right? We're not in the like organic
No,
conversation
you guys
that just
are
shows up.
disconnected a lot.
Yeah,
the
like
student
we don't
body.
want to be like, and not necessarily like we want to be in that, right? Like
Yeah.
that's your space, and we respect and hold that. But that means that there are things that that we are not necessarily aware of, right? Or
Yeah.
that things that are happening on our campus that maybe have not been brought to our attention.
Yep.
That maybe don't serve you, right? And you want to see something different. And so, yeah, that is, I think, a call to action, right? To say,
Yep.
like, we want our students to use their voices, to speak up, to let us know. And even if your voice shakes, and
Yep.
even if it feels uncomfortable,
Yeah.
to lean into that and to know that,
Probably.
my role and my job is to make sure that you all feel like you can be who you are,
Yep.
bring your full voice and self to the space, and advocate for what it is that you believe that we need to do at Amherst, and work with us to make that happen, right?
Yep.
Because they said the other night, someone said, "Oh, well, if you could just throw more parties," and I'm like, I promise you do not want me to actually throw your party.
You said that,
I'm
yeah,
the
that was
I'm the
funny.
dean that has the napkins at my house that say, "Hi, this party ends at 9 p.m. It's time to leave." Like, thank you so much for coming. Like that's not really what you want, right?
Yes.
But what you want is for us to support you in doing that, and so
Yep.
so you really feel empowered to like come up with something that feels like it speaks to who you all are of today.
Yeah.
And that is what we want to do, right? And that feels really important. And like, I do think that the political climate on campus has been complicated and really
Yeah.
difficult, and
sure.
I know that it has directly impacted you and many others on our
Yeah.
community that need and want spaces where they can speak freely and lean into that. And I think, I know that I am committed to that. I know that President Elliott is, and I know that so many of us are. I know our faculty are certainly committed to this in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I know that there are students that are also very committed to this.
Yeah.
And they are trying to figure out, how do we do this? And I believe we will get there. And we will
Yeah.
get there with students like you and many others who kind of stand up for what they believe in and help us see kind of like what is the path forward.
Yeah. No,
So-
I'm very excited. And I think we kind of talked about this with President Elliott is Amherst is very unique. And I chose, Amherst for a reason, but the other thing is like, in the specific context of like talking about uncomfortable, touchy situations that like America needs to be talking about.
That's right.
Amherst is special where it's like if intimately the person you're talking about with who completely disagrees with you, it causes you to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of use the analogy, it was like put in the newspaper. It's like if you have helped, your friend move in, and you know their dog, and you met their parents,
Mm-hmm.
and you know their aspirations in life,
Mm-hmm.
and you know where they went for vacation last summer,
Mm-hmm.
like it really makes you kind of reconsider. Like it's so easy in the world to just be like, this person's evil, or this person is dumb, or this person is stupid, this
Mhm.
person doesn't know what they're talking about. It's a lot harder to recognize like, wow, okay, I really just disagree with this person, but that's
Mhm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And at Amherst, at a small liberal arts college, I think the opportunity to reform how we talk about politics on campus, and not just politics, just like how we interact with each other, like just civil,
Yes.
respect, compassionate
Yes.
approaches
Yes.
to how we engage with each other on campus. I think we have a tremendous opportunity,
That is correct.
and I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
And I know the administration has been very adamant about that's something that they really want. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited
I mean,
about
I
that.
think it speaks to what we've already been talking about in terms of like building trust and
Yeah.
relationships, right? And I
Yep.
think why, again, it's so important for as a dean of students to have relationships with students, right?
Yep.
And to understand what their experiences are like and what is going on and kind of more boots to the ground, right?
Yep.
Of like, really hearing from them directly, because that is actually how we get to a place where students feel like they can.
Yep.
So it's our role to help you all create these spaces where you can do that with each other as well. Right. And so, these meaningful dialogues, conversations and debate that allow for us to say, what is it that we are wrestling with? What are we all sitting with? What do we not understand? What do we want to understand more about? What are the kind of things that really fuel us? And it's those they're not, always compatible. But we are a part of a community that requires us to listen hard, to learn from one another and with each other. And if we can do that, I think that we can change and transform higher ed, the ways in which 100%. Our students feel that they actually do belong when they are here,
100%. Right?
Because it isn't just about one, kind of set of people or communities belonging or ideologies belonging, right? It's about all of us operating in kind of cohesion 100%. Together to make the beauty of the campus that we have.
100%.
So I think that is, such a critical, we're at a critical juncture right now in which it's
especially in America. I mean, we are so...
It's paired with everything that's certainly going on.
We're so bad about it as a country. We're so bad about it as a country. And something that you said, and it is a goal that I hope to accomplish before, I graduate here in 2 and 4th years, is, you're so right, is we can transform higher ed.
I believe that.
Amherst has been a trailblazer in so many ways.
Absolutely.
Of academia. And I really do think that, active steps to change the way we talk on campus, especially regarding to politics, since that's, understandably one of the most polarizing issues today. We could have Williams follow step, because of course, Amherst has to precede Williams because we're obviously better. Letting all students know. But then, the Harvards, the Columbias, I think they struggle a lot. I think it's really bad here, but I think the Ivies have definitely shown they really struggle with issues like that. And maybe it's just they're bigger, and maybe it's they get more media attention. But
that's possible
I thought it was really concerning last year over the Palestine situation. I thought it was really concerning how bad it got on those college campuses and how just inhumane people seem to be treating each other. Both sides.
It's tough.
Both sides.
I
thought, and I honestly
are really struggling.
I thought Amherst did a much better job than the rest of academia.
Yeah.
It did seem like we did a better job than a lot of other colleges, and I think that's partially because, we're a smaller campus, but then also we know each other.
Yeah, I think too that our students really try to, kind of advocate for what they believe in, while also, trying their hardest to be as respectful as well. So I think I have a lot of credit to our students because they, and we want our students to stand up for what they believe in, right? Right. And I think too that there were a lot of students that were working really closely with us to help us figure out what is it that they want, what is it that they need, even if that was not in agreement with what the college and how the college was moving. But so many conversations took place, right? And there was a really good faith effort to bring kind of students together from all different kinds of sides of the conversations, certainly around what was happening in terms of activism on campus last year, but also with the administration. And that is... that's actually the beauty of why our community was able to kind of move through these in different ways. And I think I feel really proud of us as a, student body and as an administration to have those kinds of conversations.
Yeah.
It's tough. And it's hard because these are personal and political issues, that people feel really deeply about. And we want our students to feel like they can speak on this. And that's part of that kind of skill building as well, right? Of how do you do it in ways that also doesn't disparage others? Dehumanize others. While trying to lift up the humanity. So it is a complicated balance.
Dean, Angie, you're the best. Did you know that?
Well, thank you. And best. So are you. So are you. Thank you.
Something you talked about really briefly, which I wanted to expand upon, is the kind of the party scene at
Yeah.
Amherst. Specifically, you brought up the rave.
Yes.
So I do want to talk about that. The rave is something that the AAS, which is the Amherst Association of Students, the student government, that we put on, but then also you guys
Right,
help
Student
with,
Affairs runs it.
which is once a semester as of now. I would love to increase it, but what the hell do I know? But once a semester right now, which
Yes.
usually we do it on Halloween,
Yep.
and we haven't done it this year.
No, it always
Have we?
happens like right after like kind of reading period. So May 3rd, actually.
That's
is this
right.
year,
Because last
so-
year was on my birthday, May 4th.
Okay. there
And
you
this
go.
year, I'm
Oh.
counting as my birthday. Doesn't matter. This year, my
There you
birthday's
go.
on May 3rd. But we have it's like a school-wide,
School-wide.
a huge rave. So we bring in a tent, and then we bring in a DJ, and they're like strobe lights and everything.
Yeah.
And we get so many people every time,
Yes.
and it is so fun. It is like every student I know is always looking forward to the rave.
That's
It is
right.
such a fun event.
Yes.
I wish we had more of them.
It is an opportunity,
yeah.
I think, for a lot of students, right, to kind of come together, party together.
Yeah.
I think
So
the kind
fun.
of party kind of culture and on campus is like very different for different communities and different pockets of communities.
Yeah.
We don't have we are an on-campus community, so our residence halls function as spaces where our students are able to gather and celebrate with one another. And I think we also want spaces where that doesn't always have to happen only in the residence halls.
Yep.
And so and
Yep.
spaces that are bigger so that we can allow for more students to come together. And I think that's very similar to like another space where you see everyone is there
Yep.
and people are together having a good time, and it's not just like, oh, this is for that group or that's for this, and I think that's part of like why we really love it. Is it like, and why students really love it, because
Yes.
it's like, yes, like
It is.
I'm kicking it with everyone, and
Yes.
like this is a good vibes, good
It's so
energy.
good.
The
I've
music's good,
always
and of course, President Elliott always like, and like we like to make our, quick
stand at a distance.
stand at a distance. Hi, how's everybody
Yeah.
doing? Have a good time.
Yeah.
Because I think that also just shows like we care about your social life.
Yeah, because you guys do.
Because we do.
'Cause you
We want
genuinely
you.
do.
We want
Yeah.
you actually to also have a really amazing time here and have
Yep.
fun while you're here,
Yep.
right? And be responsible.
Yep. No,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the raves. The raves are so fun.
Yeah. If we could pull them off, it probably, they'd have to be a little bit less, extravagant.
Yeah.
For them to
you don't
be
wanna cut
certainly
down.
more.
Because it's like, when you limit something, it's more, special when it happens. But, God, I love the raves. The raves are so fun.
Well,
It is
more
really
opportunities
cool.
for students to have parties.
Yeah, and to kind of just talk about like the party scene at Amherst College for students who might be interested. Obviously, that's like a big part of college. How they mostly work is we have residential halls. So usually the parties are held in like the upper dorms, and usually it is kind of sports team led. Even though there are like groups on campus who aren't necessarily sports teams who lead parties as well. But yeah, usually it's like sports teams mixing, but then obviously like everybody can go. It's not like
Yeah, they're
and I
open.
do hate I am like the social chair, well, one of the social chairs of the football team or whatever,
Okay.
just kind of help plan events or whatever. And I have like we've tried to do like things with like I have like a lot of international student friends, so we've tried to include like them in, but I think that's also, and obviously if you come to Amherst, you will hear a million times about the student athlete divide, and we're actually having a panel soon.
We are.
With Jen Chucks, who is
She's the associate director for DEI
Yep, for
and
DEI, and,
compliance within athletics.
Yeah, she's super nice, and we are hosting a panel with students about the student athlete divide, because that is something that that's been repeated forever.
Yes.
But I would love as an athlete to kind of break that down, as a lot of the spaces on campus are led and dominated by athletes, which I think you're missing out on a lot of like opportunities for growth and for learning and for expanding your worldview if you just hang out with people on your team. Like I always joke, like I spend so much time with my team in season, it's like it's okay go like sit with other friends who aren't on the football team or whatever, as
Right.
much as I love them,
Right.
because you want to talk to a bunch of people. Like you don't, I hate the idea of like being in one clique.
You're like boxing yourself in.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah, I hear that.
it's never,
Yeah.
it's always desirable to meet as many people as you can, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
definitely the work that you all are doing and that we will be doing as we kind of move forward around the athlete non-athlete divide has been it's a tough one, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what is it, like what is the real thing, and is it really the social kind of cultural environment? So I'm very much looking forward to this panel. I'm very much looking forward to the conversations with students to really understand what is it that we want to build. How do we actually break down whatever barrier that there really is
Yeah.
that prevents us, and also hopefully moves the needle to kind of, maybe interrupt that narrative.
Yeah.
Because I actually believe really strongly when I'm looking around and I see our students engaging, I think that our students, our athletes, and our students who don't identify as athletes are very much integrated in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
And I want to see that.
Yeah. I think it's
flourish.
exaggerated a little bit. I think there are I think so too, but I guess at the same time, there are a lot of students who just don't think it's sufficient so far. We need
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Which is, if people are thinking that, then that's their perspective,
Yeah.
and we should address that.
Yeah.
So let's go to our next question. I think I only have two more.
Okay.
Two things. So one, well, I'll ask the first one. What do you think Amherst does best / needs to improve on?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Does best. I mean, I think, we, I think that we lean deeply into the mission of the college. I mean, I think that we care deeply about who we are as an institution, what it means to be a liberal arts college, what it means to, be an institution that has and values the academic rigor that we bring forward. I think that we are the resource and support that we provide our students holistically is amazing. Like, I mean, I think for any prospective student to understand the kind of breadth and depth of resources and support that we provide is pretty unprecedented.
Yep.
And so I think, with the kind of structural student, kind of support that we provide with the curriculum, with the faculty that are here, with the college, like those things are like who makes us who we are. And I think that we do those the best. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that we have a community of people that care deeply. So, one of the best things about working at a place like Amherst is that there isn't anyone that I work with who doesn't love and care for our students and want those students to be thriving, that doesn't want to be here,
Yeah.
And because this also is hard, right? Like, it's hard to be in a place that has a lot of rigor, because rigor is deeply embedded into who we are as an institution.
Yep.
And that can be hard for a lot of folks to navigate. But when you are here and you engage with it and you understand what the outcomes are, like that is where, I think, areas for improvement, we always all have growth, and I think some of what we already spoke about, really engaging in and helping create more spaces for students to have meaningful dialogue, for meaningful discussion and disagreement, for us to model that in more intentional ways so that our students understand how to do it and when and where makes sense for them to feel like they can fully do that. I think we talked about the housing, like our kind of residential experience really at its core is something that we want to improve and build upon. But I think it's, we're always going to be in a process of growing and learning, and I am sure that more things will come forward as, all these students come in and they help us understand where there are areas for us to improve and to make Amherst the best, a better version of itself every year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are some of the things.
Super good.
Yeah.
And then we'll have our last question.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
Which is, what would you have to, or what would you say to students on the fence about coming to Amherst? What is your closing pitch?
Oh my gosh, my closing pitch. So, I mean, Amherst is amazing, and you already know that because you're looking at us and you're interested in applying, right? I think that, you got to figure out what's right for you. You got to figure out what it is that you need to feel like you can really thrive in a college environment. And I do believe that Amherst can be an amazing place for many students, and it also might not be the right fit for some.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay too. I think that it is important for you to know and not to know that you don't have to have everything figured out before you get here.
Yep.
That you just need to know, like, what are really some of those essential things that you hope Amherst can provide, and figure out if they do provide it. And I will probably almost guarantee that it is likely that we do. And then it is a yes, get here, help us build what it is that you want to see happen, engage with the community that is here. Like, I just think that, Amherst can be a lot of things for so many of the prospective students out there. And if it is the right fit, and if it feels like when you come to visit, if you have the opportunity to be here on campus before you say yes, you're going to fall in love. There's no ifs and buts about it.
Happened to me.
Happened to you, happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm still here too. There's something about this place. There's something about what makes Amherst Amherst, and that home away from home, that opportunity to really be in relationship with your staff and your faculty and your peers. I mean, that's the kind of college experience that I could have only dreamed of.
Yeah.
And
it's very unique.
And it is so unique.
Very unique.
And so, if you are a person who can live and operate in a small environment and wants to build and have those kind of close relationships, then this is certainly the place for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we hope you say yes and you come.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
This was really great.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like such an honored, invitee.
Oh my God,
thank you. It's amazing.
But
amazing.
Yeah, this was really great. But yeah, so that was episode 2 of Inside the Herd with Dean Angie.
Yes.
If you come here, you will learn and love, and I'll make you love her. No, I'm just kidding. You'll do it on yourself. She's amazing. She's the best. She's truly one of the best people Amherst College has to offer, and we hope that you stay tuned for episode 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you soon.